I travel a lot for Dell. I go around APJ talking to customers, talking to groups about where networking is going, what's happening in the networking world. And today, you heard from different parts of Dell, and they were talking about the fluid data. If you got a chance to talk to the server guys, we talked about intelligent data, if you had a chance, there were some laptops outside. But what I want to talk to you about is Dell's VNA, our virtual network architecture, and kind of where Dell is going in the networking world. So how many of you have heard of Force 10 prior to the acquisition? How many of you using Dell Dell Power Connect switching? All right. So how many of you are actually also responsible for the network? Okay. So those of you with your hands up, move to the front. We'll have a good discussion. So Force 10 has actually been around a long time. And we have about thousands and thousands of customers around the world, people very large using it. The reason you never heard of Force 10 is we're a very core-driven company. We support a lot of Web 2.0 companies around the world. People like the Facebooks, Zyngas, Alibaba's Force 10, Salesforce.com. Some very, very large opportunities. What I want to talk today about is, all this really, really cool storage. And if you get a chance to see Dell's 12G, really, really cool servers. They're really cool boxes, but they don't do anything because they need a network. Without a network, they're just a hard drive. So all the things you asked about today, hey, I've got large data being pushed around my network. How do you do? I gotta store it over here and move it over here. All of that is networking. So Dell went out and acquired a company that can help you do all of that. So today, I want to talk about all of this is changing. Data is growing. Mobility is growing. Virtualization. How many people have virtualized their network? All right. Now, how many have done virtual VDI desktops? So we asked that already. So we have virtualized desktops now. We have virtualized servers now. We have virtualized storage now. And now we're virtualizing the network. So we're going to talk about what that means to me. What does that mean? Virtual, see, actually, I'm just virtual. Right? I'm not really here. What does that mean? That means very complicated networks. All right? So I want to talk about things like, what is your OpEx versus your CapEx expenses? All right? Well, I want to talk about open architecture and what is changing. So in 1990, and unfortunately I was around doing networking at the time, and we used to build one PC, one server, one IP address to one switch, okay, and that usually had its own storage. And then later on, NAS came out, SAN came out. But in reality, it was one for one. It was very easy to monitor, very easy to manage. I had a problem. I knew exactly which one was my Exchange server. All right? Today, we're virtual, number one. Number two, our traffic is really now changed to east-west. And I'll talk about that. What does that mean? And what is the changes that are happening? So in the 90s, we developed this network. Everybody in this room probably uses this kind of network in their system. We have our core router, our core firewall, comes to our core switch, comes down to an aggregation switch, top of rack switch, goes to our server and our storage. Is that right? That's how your network is today? Well, this is really, really inefficient. Why? Because in today's world, this cluster here may be where my users are, but my images are over here, and my SQL is over here. So let's just do a quick query. So I got a query coming down, and it says, tell me my bank account balance. I come over here, and it says, okay, it belongs on one of these servers. This guy takes it, he splits it. He says, Okay, who is this user? Then we come from this switch, server to this top of rack switch, to aggregation switch, and up to the core switch, down to this, into here, down to this guy. There's your storage, gets the information, puts it back up. So you see, all of this has got to go away. A lot of hops. A lot of hops. This has become very inefficient. So what's happened in the industry? If you want to know what people like Zyngas or Facebooks, Yahoos, all these companies have done, is they said, my traffic is east-west. If you go home and look at your network, you'll find your traffic is east-west. It's not so much north-south anymore. So what have they done? They've moved into what is called a distributed core. What is a distributed core? It's fairly simple. We take some very, very high-density switches and some very high-density, both our spine, we call it now, and our leaves. So if you take a flower or a tree leaf, you have a spine on that, and then you have leaves come out. And from there, I can go to my top of rack. What's the change? Now, we have very high-density servers. So if you look at the Dell's 12G release, that is a 10 gig, 32 quarter slot servers. Each server has 2 CPUs. Each CPU is 8 core. And I believe my math is right. It's about 512 core on one 10U. That's the new Dell 12G. All right? That's very, very cool. And we'll show you products that go in there that allow you to connect at 10 gig to each of those 32 blades. But in this world, these are all high density. And these devices are all connected. So if I want to go up, this guy is actually, because he's high density, he can connect directly to these other top of row. Now, we've gone to 10 gig. What a lot of companies have done is taken these servers and put them directly onto the switch, to the aggregate switch. Or they're taking their firewalls and plugging them in here. No more from the top. They have a firewall, because the firewall is used not just once. The firewall has to be between departments or between companies if I'm in the cloud. So there's a lot more. They plug the firewalls in here. They're plugging their Metro E-links into here, because these are layer 2, layer 3 devices, which means I can make it act like a router. So very, very high density, the ability to move traffic east and west extremely fast. So you're going to hear about VNA from Dell. You're going to hear about distributed computing from the world. This is our fabric. This is the way we are now building a very fast and efficient. This is what's cool about this, is I can grow this from 200 servers to a logical about 160 terabits, which is close to about 18,000 servers without changing my network. I'm just adding more cables. Now, let's go back a slide and we'll talk about one thing. A lot of people really enjoy having large chassis, right? Large chassis are good. Force 10, we have large chassis, high density. There's a change in the industry. Why? Well, one of the issues here is cabling costs are higher, because I have to run now single mode fiber versus very inexpensive multi-mode fiber. Because with this kind of setup, I can distribute these switches around my network. So I only need long cables between these. But I can use shorter cables and cheap cables, including DAC cables, in this network. Second, I almost said the name of the customer. There's a big customer, starts with an M. They believe that Moore's Law will continue. Moore's Law says, this is dense, but I think you're going to double that density soon. So I want to be able to just take it out, put it back, another device in. So these are a lot of the changes that are happening. So what's happening in the industry? people are beginning to flatten their network because the main reason, which I have not brought up, if you think about every connection, every Ethernet connection that I have, every Ethernet connection causes what? Latency, delay. Every cable I have causes delay. So if I get rid of cables, now don't forget in Ethernet we have the cable, the electrical part, we have our PHY, we have our buffers, etc. Causes delay. And by the way, I'm not a big fan of Cat 5, Cat 6, because you're getting these 24 mil pieces of wire trying to snap them together. This is why I love optics. Optics is soldered together. It's very, very, the connections are much better than than Cat 5. So, what's changing? High density. We need to be able to scale our data center very, very fast. This is the Dell Force 10 Z9000. It's super cool. Why? It's a 2U, all right, everybody? Put your fingers up. 2U. In this 2U, I can have up to 128 10 gig ports. And a 2U running at 800 watts. All right, we're going to talk about these issues, what this brings. So first, high density. Second, low power. All right, less cabling. That same device, if I don't use our special breakout cables, I can do 32 10 gig. I can have a combination. I can have 16, 40, sorry, did I say 10? Sorry. I can have 32, 40 gig. I can do 16 up, and I can do, 64 down, 10 gig. So I can have some 10, I can have some at 40. Why? Bruce, nobody here needs 40 gig. Well, the difference is now we're virtualizing. And on 1 gig, I can put 10 VLANs, 4 VMs. But if I could, on one port, put 500 VLANs and 35 VMs on one port, I now save my space. Because these are highly reliable, show you how to be highly redundant. So in a very, very small real estate, I can have a full data center. So let's talk about that. So I could go out and look at a big chassis from, whoops, the name is up there, from another company. But I want to build a network. This network has 1,500 servers on it. So I could have 2 big chassis, top of rack. And in this environment, each of these use about 6.5, 7, close to 7 kilowatts per hour of power. I don't care about cost, I'm an engineer. Packaging, I do care. That is 50 RU, because one of those boxes is 25 RU. So I could now use the Z9000 because I'm trying to get this number of servers. Using a Z9000, a product I'll introduce in a minute, the S4810, I could do the same thing with only 3.2 kilowatts per hour. So in India, the cost of electricity has gone down how much in the last year? Oh, it hasn't. Okay. Is it getting 10% more a year? 20%? What does that mean? How many CFOs in the room? Okay, your CFO is going to come to you and say, excuse me, you're taking up too much electricity. You're costing me too much money. It has nothing to do with, tech, zeros and ones and how fast. But how am I going to build a data center if the city, if the council can only give me 5 kilowatts? Isn't that your average data center in India? 5 kilowatts? Okay. I'll give you an example. There's a company in the U.S., Zynga, they gave us an order, and they said, we want to build a data center, 18 kilowatts, this much real estate. How much can you put in there? How much compute storage can you put in there? This is where we look at high density, because it's not getting any cheaper, electricity's not getting any cheaper, real estate's not getting any cheaper. People, I mean, when I first came to India 8, 9, 10 years ago, you guys are really cheap. Now you're not, okay? You guys want more money now. I don't get it. You know, that's the change. So how do we deal with these issues? So I want to talk to you about the next issue, which is I have all this really cool technology, but my resource cost is expensive now. So I need tools. Alvin talked to you about the tools for storage, how you can look at and move and do things. Well, how do I build this complicated distributed core virtualized network? So Dell, in the next couple of days, we just announced, actually last night, a new product called the Dell Fabric Manager. It'll be shipping in June. It's designed to help you set up, configure your network. So I want to build a new network. Well, it's very easy. You plug in what you kind of want to do, what your uplinks, what your IP addresses, how many servers you have, what kind of, and then it'll just draw you a nice diagram. And that's great. That's easy to do. But what this tool will do is after the installation, or as you do your we call a rack and stack, right? And I put all my servers in. It will go out and help you configure them using our open automation tools. So go out using our bare metal provisioning tool and actually set those servers up for you. Sorry, did I say servers? No, I meant networks. It'll set those switches up for you. You guys got to stay awake so you can catch me when I make a mistake. So that is very cool. After this is up, it will actually then query the network to make sure that the design, the installation, meet my original, I messed up again. My installation will meet my original design. So many of us have built networks, and we put it on a whiteboard, and by the time we finish and we actually rack and stack, something didn't do right, and we changed everything at the last second. Unproven. We don't know what happened. It's not, everything else was well designed and well tested. Suddenly we make a change, not documented, or just the guy said do it. All right, this will actually go in and check, make sure. Next part of our open automation is our scripting. The ability to write Perl or Python scripts on a switch. So why is that cool? Because I can say that I have some storage over here, and I want to change the QoS on that VLAN from 2 a.m. to 4 a.m. All right? You guys catching that? Instead of having somebody sit there on the switch at 2 a.m. to do a CLI command, I can have a script, a daemon that's running that says, my guys are doing backup, my storage guys are doing backup during that time. And change the QoS, which means give me from my VLAN 55 has the highest priority on the network. Everybody else slows down. I can change the bandwidth. I want to allocate 10, or let's not do 10. I'll allocate 8 gig for VLAN 55 from 2 to 4 a.m. At 4:01, it's going back to 1 gig. This is why 10 gig is so cool, because I can make all of these changes very, very fast, and I can change my bandwidth. Now this one, for all of you who are doing virtualization, the nice thing about the Dell switches, the Force 10 switches, is that it is VM aware, Citrix aware, and very soon it'll be Microsoft Hypervisor aware. What does that mean? Just means that that port on switch 10, port 5, had a QoS of this, an IP address of that, and had a subnet of this. I need to move that 4 racks over. That needs to move, that QoS. Now, is that available? You wanted to move 5 gig. Whoops, there's already 7 gig allocated. You can't do that. So all of this information, why do we need tools? because humans are too slow. As you know, I build robots for hobby, so I'm not a big fan of humans. Robots or automation tools help you do that. They can listen to 1,000 sources and see 1,000 monitors and get information. That's where we're headed, is to be able to take care and automate. Working with third-party tools and a web GUI, we can talk about that later. So the next big announcement we made in the last few days has been our Open Network, Managed Network 5.0. What is that? Well, Dell is an open architecture, well, we do a lot of open source too, by the way, in case you didn't know. But we believe in open standards. So we came out with a tool, or we have a tool that will not only monitor our products, but you can get licenses to monitor other products. So it gives us a great analysis of our Dell, Force 10, and other companies, including our wireless products. So it's a very nice tool. Again, it allows you to do quite a bit of very cool monitoring. I want to talk now about something that I see in India quite a bit. And that is a lot of people just want to allow someone to decide their life for them. Okay? If I choose a particular vendor, they give me a suite of servers and storage and network, but it's proprietary. What does that mean? And unfortunately, I'm speaking from personal experience. And data centers I built in the past, I've had this happen to me. That particular vendor, I use their proprietary protocols, and I connect everything up with their proprietary network. And then one day I said, wow, there's a new startup in Silicon Valley that has a really cool system. I want to install that on my network. And they said, sorry, you can't, because it doesn't use our proprietary protocols. That proprietary protocol talks to our server, it talks to our storage, talks to our network. You can't. Only if I tell you, can you do that. At Dell, we're very much against that. We want our computing to be open, our networking to be open, and our storage to be open. That's a huge difference. And why is this issue not as big in the Web 2.0 groups, including in China, Japan, US? Because people who do Web 2.0, who do huge, huge networks, they want the best of breed. They want to be able to put pressure on every vendor and say, you give me that. I need you to fix this. Because every vendor has problems, right? But I need you to improve. If you are in a closed environment, proprietary environment, that vendor can tell you, you wait. I'm not doing that. So this is the big change that I'm hoping to see, that this market, people become more and more open to looking at best of breeds of products instead of just taking something that someone gives you. Now, why is this good and bad for Dell? Well, I think it's good because it requires people like myself and our product managers and our CTOs to every day think about how to be better. We have to be better on the networking side, the storage side, the server side. We have to be better. We have to give you some reason to stay with us. So let's talk about storage. So with the compellent, equal logic, power vault, plus a networking environment that is aware and supports it. So where are we going with this? Well, you hear this thing from Dell called Better Together, power to do more. What does that really, really mean? It just means that the product managers from networking, the product managers from storage, and the product managers from servers all sit down every Tuesday morning, and they talk about ideas. Unfortunately for me in China, I have to wake up at 2 a.m. for this call. But they get up and they talk about how do we work together? What are the issues? How do we build a better product? And that's what's happening for us. Is it FCOE? Is it IP? Layers 4 through 7? How do I know what's going on? You'll see a huge move to 10 gig, and we'll talk about that. So you got to unify all this. You can't just say I have really good, really cool storage, because all of those replication you guys are talking about, and I need to move that data from building to building, or storage to storage. That all goes over me. So if I'm not good, you're not good. So let's talk about a couple of products that we've designed specifically to help this world. We have two products. There are S60. It's a very deep buffer, 1 gigabit switch. Why? So a normal switch has 4 or 8 MB, your standard switch that you buy. And that kind of gives you your buffering between, how much, I got a bunch of data coming into the port, and I got to wait while I send it out 1 gig. I might be receiving 1.5 gig so I got to kind of wait. Ethernet is collision domain, so I have to wait for my chance. So these are the things that happen on a network. So I might be doing a big query or a video stream. By the way, we're streaming this on the internet, on the network. I saw the stream. Does that look good? Okay. That takes a huge amount of buffering. If I want to write that to a hard drive, or if I want to send that across the network, I'm in a huge burst mode. So this product was originally designed for one of the leading video streaming companies, and we designed this for them, but it fits very well now. You can actually get equal logic and compellent, both, configuration guides that will show you how to use this product. The S4810 is my favorite. It is an ultra low latency 10 gig switch, 1 gig, 10 gig, with 40 gig uplinks. Why is this so cool? Well, people who want to do extremely fast banking, web guys, the web guys love this. 10 gig straight to my, right to my server or my storage. So this is a very, very powerful box. Its latency is in the its latency is in the sub 700 nano. Okay, so we have seconds, milliseconds, nanoseconds, microseconds, then nanoseconds. Okay? So this is an extremely fast switch. And we talked about earlier, integrated automation tools. That was the tools I showed you earlier that this box can be set up, configured by our automation tools. And it has the virtualization support. It knows when a VM is here and needs to be moved. Now, today I'm going to announce, we announced this about 2 weeks ago, for those of you who haven't seen it, the Dell Force 10 MLX Blade. Woo! All right, let me tell you why it's so exciting. Why? Because this is the first 40 gig blade. Now, I told you about the MX1 or the M1000 12G server. Right, I started out with that. 32 quarter cards in there, 512 core. This one, you plug it in, and it gives you 10 gig to each of those servers. Okay? Plus, it has two 40 gig uplinks. So what we've done is basically taken the S4810, which is a layer 2, layer 3, running FTOS. FTOS is the Force 10 operating system. It's been around for about 11 years, used by all the big players. And why is it cool? Because if you are a Cisco network engineer, it's the same CLI. It's all based on NetBSD. So if you can use Cisco, you can use Force 10 without any learning. You can use Power Connect, which again is our Dell, I don't want to say, more entry level or small data center product, layer 2 or layer 3, 1 gig, and we just now launched a 10 gig version. You can still use the CLI. There's not a lot of new learning. But this product is cool. Why? If you look at it without it, you're going to have to take your network and go up and down, up to the top of rack switch, and you need more ports. With this, when you pop it in, how many cables do you need to connect 32 servers to a 32-port switch? 0. 0 cables. It goes on the copper backplane. So, reliability. Yeah, everybody know, by the way, it's a passive backplane. There's no electricity back there, so it's much better. So, that doesn't break. So, it allows me to do that. So, I need less cables. I need less top-of-rack switches. Now, the nice thing about this is it is DCB ready. It has DCB. It has iSCSI in it, FCOE. Now, why is this really cool today? Because when you plug in an iSCSI device into this port, it automatically knows and learns and says, this is iSCSI. Let me configure it for iSCSI. No humans. Humans are bad. There's no humans involved. All right? Again, let us help you not screw up. Okay? That's basically it. So this is very cool. Now, what does this do? I'm back to this one. I could, in a 10 RU, plus I could add some compelling or equal logic. What is that, 2U, 4U? All right? All right, so I'm 10, 2U, 4U for that. Plug it straight in. So I only have 2 optic cables going down or 4 optical cables going in. I am on my server. My storage is on my network, and my storage is all together. I can now build a data center, 512 core. Come on, guys, that's a lot. And I've only taken half a rack. So how many people do colo? Any of you colo at another data center? Well, this kind of product, power saving, highly energy. What's the last 2 parts about energy efficiency? When you have less space, you require less air conditioning. Okay? You hear a term called PUC? Yeah. So, if you look at the new eBay data center, built by Dell, that has a a PU of, I think, 1.2, which means for every kilowatt coming in, for every 1.2 kilowatt coming in, only 20% of that is going to the air conditioning, the security system and the house lights. The rest of it all goes to the actual devices. I see my time is up, but the answer is no. I'm going to go on. I'm almost done. Now, what we've announced also is now end-to-end 10 gig. So I can, in this rack, have extremely high-density products, and I can build this whole rack end-to-end 10 gig and run 10 gig straight from here, or I can run this as 40 gig. Don't forget, the S4810 has 40 gig uplinks. So, by the way, the S4810 is a 1U 48 port 10 gig. 1U 48 port. I have 4 40 gigs. I can use the breakout cable. I get you 64 10 gigs in a 1U. All right? Think about now consolidating and putting everything on faster network. Not because it's faster. I consider it more high density so that I can run more with less. It's cheaper. Unless you are, how many people from the power company? Oh, nobody's here from the power company. Anybody make your own electricity? I was in Bangladesh, I actually I asked that question, and one guy, yeah, we make our own electricity. Oh, well, okay, you're okay. But by the way, he told me afterwards that he still has to get charged by the sister company for electricity, and not at a discount. All right, so we have the tools to help you with virtualization, and I'm going to talk about them. So I want to build a multi-tenancy solution. We have Dell AIM. It's one of our tools. We support OpenStack. We have a full automation and orchestration and policy tools. Virtualization and Fabric I talked about. We're very big in software-defined networking. How many people have heard of software-defined networking? OpenFlow. If you have not, go home tonight, Google for Hadoop, which is the big data, OpenFlow, which is what is it? Okay, in networking, we have a control plane. The control plane is, this is VPN 22 on port 1, and it has a QoS of this, an IP address of that. What I can do, instead of doing that on every switch, I can take that into a controller, set my environment up in the controller, and have the controller tell the switch what to do. Why is that cool? Because if I want to move stuff, the controller just does it for me. So we support that. We support software-defined networking. We support all the virtualization engines. Many of you know we acquired SonicWall. So you'll see the SonicWall products coming in here. So one of the last things is, we are aware of what goes on. So if you're doing virtualization, our switches, not all of them, but our top-of-the-line switches are aware of what happens and how I move. So how is Dell going to help me? Hey, just relax. I'll be done. We have a team here in India. Matter of fact, we have our R&D for Dell Networking, the Dell Networking Group. Our R&D is in India. It's in Chennai. We currently have about 250. When Dell acquired Force 10, we were about 200. We're going to be growing to about 1,500. If you know any good engineers, quality, sustaining, all those people, we're hiring in Chennai. So we have teams that'll help you in the consulting side, deployment side, and manageability side. Again, we do have the people and the teams. Now, I talked about all these things. What do we have? We have a great relationship with Microsoft. For those of you who don't know, you should know Dell has a great relationship with Microsoft. Do not downplay Microsoft in the hypervisor business, especially in this country. How many MCSEs do we have? So if all of you MCSEs, you know you can just go and take the hypervisor test. How many VM certified engineers we have? Well, if you're not, you have to go through the whole VMware courseware. So I have a feeling, this is my personal opinion, that a lot of people here who have MCSEs will just take that add-on class. And you get, the other nice thing is Windows 8 has hypervisor built into it. So anybody in IT, all of you guys in the next year will all say, yes, I know Microsoft hypervisor. So don't downplay them. VMware is here. They're very strong. They'll still be a good player. We do support Xen also. So we do have a lot of the tools, Fabric Manager, O&M, our FTOS, our software-defined, our products, our Z series, our C series, our big chassis, our S series, our topper racks, and our very fast switches, our blades, our Power Connect, and including this morning we talked about the Brocade fiber channel FC products. Those are also part of our network. So there's our huge product line. Most of you don't realize, but we have a huge product line. Going from wireless products to Power Connect to our S series, all the way up to our big chassis, have 1,500 gig E ports on them. So these are some big guns. To our wireless, to our SecureWorks security products, FTOS, our open automation. So we cover it all. And now we just acquired SonicWall, and we will now be merging all of these SonicWall products into our product line. So yes, we have the tools. Okay, whoops. Yes, we have the Indian solution. We have the vStarts, the automation tools. We have the people. We have the hardware interoperability. That's what Dell brings to me. Ready Space, everybody might have heard of them, big, huge cloud managed services. For them, they wanted a partner. And what Dell brings to you today is not products. Okay? Many of you think of Dell as a hardware company. We are no longer just a hardware company. What we are is a solutions company. And the next time you come to one of these events, we may or may not be talking about products. We're going to be talking about how to solve your issues. That's what we are, and that's where we want to help you. In the future, when a Dell salesperson comes to you or a technical person comes to you, they're going to ask you, what are we trying to solve? So be prepared for that. I'm training them. What are we trying to solve? Now, how many of you are in the actual IT business? And how many of you are the IT department of a company? So if you are in the transportation business, are you an IT company or are you a transportation company? You're a transportation company. When I talk to CTOs, CIOs, and CFOs, they come to me and say, I don't want to be in the IT business. But without IT, nothing works. Remember that when you're negotiating your salary next time. Remember, hey, boss, without IT, you have nothing. But I didn't want to get you in trouble. But that's the difference. So we worked with Ready Space as a partner, and we looked at their problems. We looked at the issues. We do this analysis of their data traffic, of their storage traffic, of their networking traffic, and we look at it, what's going on here. And by the way, one of the things we do for a lot of customers is the big Cisco shops. All right? We show them how to, A, move that into a flat network, requires you to get off proprietary protocols, or B, how to build a parallel network using the distributed core architecture and be able to build a new network that's bigger, faster, and can grow. So, R&D in India, we've expanded. We have local support. By the way, we are number one in 40 gig. I want to thank you for staying awake. In India, my fearless network. So the nice thing about when Force 10 was acquired, we had about 3 or 4 people in India. Now I have about 700 salespeople and like another 800 or 900 inside people. But if you have any questions, Amandeep, you want to stand up? Stand up. Come on. There you are. Thank you. All right. The man in the back, he's the network expert here. He will have a team come to visit you, talk to you. If he's not available, you can always email me. I travel every day. But I really want to thank you, and I really want you to begin to think. I have a network issue, call Dell. I have a storage issue, call Dell Networking. Because we're actually a team. So we work very closely with the networking, the storage guys and the server guys. We have these teams of experts from each field, and they sit together and they work together. That's the difference from other companies that I've seen. Again, I'll let you know, before I joined Force 10, I was on your side of the table, building data centers. Built one here, helped build one here in Mumbai, and built them in different countries. And what you really, really need is someone that you know you can call at 1 a.m. to help you. You need a partner, and that's what we want to give you. Hi, domo.